A long time ago, October 3rd, 2008. In a galaxy far, far away. Cartoon Network. Star Wars The Clone Wars premiered. That's right, grab a lightsaber and some blue milk. Today we're covering the entirety of Star Wars The Clone Wars from beginning to end. For those among us that are not well versed in Star Wars lore, let's take a second to set the stage. Star Wars The Clone Wars takes place between the movies Star Wars Episode II, Attack of the Clones, and Star Wars Episode III, Revenge of the Sith. At this point in the Star Wars timeline, there are a few factions. Firstly, there is the Galactic Republic, a democratic union of governments from across the galaxy, core worlds and planets along the Outer Rim alike. The Galactic Republic brings together a vast number of sentient species under one banner, and one chancellor, Palpatine. Allied to the Galactic Republic is the Jedi Order, a semi-religious order dedicated to the light side of the Force, whose main goal is to garner peace. To put it simply, these are the good guys, usually. Opposing the Galactic Republic is the Confederacy of Independent Systems, otherwise known as the CIS or the Separatists. The CIS is a collection of systems that felt the practices of the Galactic Republic were unfair or even corrupt, citing that the Republic favors the more affluent regions of the core worlds over the struggling people of the Outer Rim. Leader of the Separatists is Sith Lord Count Dooku, a fallen Jedi Master who has turned to the dark side of the Force. Tensions between the Republic and the Separatists rose to a point of great conflict in Episode II Attack of the Clones, wherein members of the Jedi Order, Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, were captured, alongside Senator Padme Amidala on the planet of Geonosis. Here, the Separatist droid army and the Republic's clone army fought for the first time, fully kicking off the Clone Wars. Okay, alright. With everyone amply caught up and our lines drawn in the sand, let's jump right into the show. The best place to begin, of course, is Episode 1, Ambush. In this episode, we meet the Jedi Master Yoda, as he attempts to forge an important alliance with King Katunko of the star system Toydaria. Before they can make their landing, however, Yoda and his fleet are attacked by the Separatists and their droids. On the moon Ragosa, Asajj Ventress and a small detachment of droids meet with King Katunko in an attempt to sway the king to the Separatist side. The king is nearly convinced, seeing the destruction of the Republic starships as a sign of weakness. However, upon hearing of Yoda's survival, he offers the Republic a chance. Should Yoda and his small force of clones, Riss, Jek, and Thyre, be able to survive the onslaught of droids, he will join the Republic. Quick fun fact about Clone Jek, you can actually see him during Episode 3, The Revenge of the Sith, at Yoda's side on Kashyyyk. Longtime Star Wars fans will know the story there. Yoda, Riss, Jek, and Thyre then make their way across the forests of Ragosa, fending off wave after wave of battle droids, super battle droids, and droid destroyers. They do all this by simply outwitting them. The droids are, well, they don't have the best programming and are they're dumb. The droids are dumb.
Roger, 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 roger.
After fully defeating the droids at a ravine, Yoda and his men meet up with King Katunko at the rendezvous, solidifying the Toydarian alliance to the Republic.
Your Majesty, fail you.
Asajj Ventress, the apprentice of Count Dooku, doesn't take this loss lightly and attempts to fight Master Yoda. However, Yoda's power of the Force is far too strong for the learning Ventress. This episode serves as a good introduction to the state of the Clone Wars. Of course, there are massive battles between droids and clones, but there's also a lot of political play going on in the background as both sides vie for the favor of neutral planets. Our next episode, Rising Malevolence, sees a formidable new weapon surface for the Separatists. The episode opens with Jedi Master and General Plo Koon calling for reinforcements after they discover a massive battleship in the Abrogado system. Here we meet another battalion of troopers, the Wolf Pack. The Wolf Pack is a division of the 104th Battalion and is led by Commander Wolf. As of right now, there isn't much to say about the battalion, but we'll meet them again a little further down the line. Now, this battleship is known as the Malevolence, and it's equipped with two enormous ion cannons capable of shutting down all power systems on entire fleets. On board, General Grievous and Count Dooku give the order to do just that.
Fire!
A massive ring of electric power shoots from the Malevolence and, acting like an EMP, shuts off the shields of Plo Koon's fleet.
Brace for impact!
Forcing everyone on board to evacuate. Not wanting any survivors, Count Dooku orders droid hunters to hunt down any and all escape pods, with Plo Koon and his men stranded in space. Their only hope is for the Republic and the Jedi Order to send out a rescue squad. Cue Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano. Again, for those not well versed in Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker is a Jedi Knight, one level beneath Master. His story is long and incredibly important to Star Wars. I mean, let's be honest, it's the main plot. Don't worry, we'll get into it. For now, though, just know that Skywalker is a powerful Force user, adept star pilot, and he's very powerful with a lightsaber. Alongside him, there is Ahsoka Tano, Anakin's Padawan learner, basically an apprentice. Together, this duo holds some less than ideal characteristics for Jedi. They're impulsive, a little reckless, and at times they're insubordinate, but their hearts are always in the right place, always trying to do what's right. In this episode, Anakin and Ahsoka directly go against orders and travel to the Ebrigado system to see if they can save Master Plo Koon and his squadron. The duo arrive in just the nick of time. However, their rescue mission doesn't go unnoticed from the Malevolence. General Grievous orders the ion cannons to be fired upon Anakin's ship. Remember though, Anakin is an adept star pilot and is able to escape before getting consumed by the EMP. The next episode, Shadow of Malevolence, sees the continuation of the Republic's response and fight to the new Separatist super weapon. Before jumping into that, however, let's take a second to dive a little deeper into the one commanding the super weapon, General Grievous. Before the Clone Wars, Grievous was a hyper-intelligent military tactician for his homeworld Kali. Here, Grievous achieved great renown and became a force to be feared across the galaxy, drawing the attention of Count Dooku and the Sis. Soon after he allied himself with Dooku, Grievous was trained in lightsaber combat and most notably, transformed himself into the mechanized cyborg that we see today. This mechanized body contains his brain and other vital organs, and his mechanical extremities seem to give him enhanced strength and reflexes. These upgrades, as well as the unique tactics they allow, turn Grievous into a Jedi-killing machine. Under the Sis, Grievous quickly became General Grievous, the supreme commander of the Separatist droid army. Man, this guy is dangerous. He carries all the lightsabers from the Jedi that he's killed before. So it comes as no surprise that this episode revolves around Anakin's plan to not only destroy the Malevolence, but to destroy Grievous as well. Anakin's plan proves really quite ambitious. Little too ambitious in the mind of General Plo Koon.
This is an aggressive plan. Are you sure your squadron can complete this mission?
However, ambition is one of Skywalker's primary characteristics, and oftentimes it's what drives him to keep the fight for the Republic alive. First step of Skywalker's plan is to intercept the Malevolence on its way to the Kaleida Shoals Medical Center. It's not a terrible plan, you know? Well, to get there in time, Anakin and Shadow Squadron have to traverse through a dangerous nebula, the Balmoran Run, without their scanners. Instead, they must clear their minds, rely on their senses, something that Padawan learner Ahsoka must learn.
Clear your mind, young one, and you will see the path.
The Balmoran Run, however, is flooded with Nebrae Mantis, massive creatures that make traversing the nebula even harder. However, Anakin and the Shadow Squadron make it out of the nebula with only a few scrapes. Quite the shortcut, Skywalker. Shadow Squadron manages to intercept Grievous before he's able to attack the medical ship. However, Anakin's plan doesn't go exactly as he hoped, and many of Shadow Squadron fall in the ensuing battle. This forces Anakin to call an audible. Instead of targeting Grievous and the control center, they target the ion cannons themselves. The Malevolence explodes, causing intense damage to the primary weapon and their shields. Grievous makes it out alive, but the medical center is safe. At the very least, that's a partial win for the Republic. This next episode, Destroy Malevolence, sees the final chapter in the Malevolence story arc. As I'm sure you can tell by the title of the episode, the Separatist supercruiser is destroyed. But how? And by who? Well, this episode serves as the introduction to the character Padme Amidala, the Republican senator that represents Naboo, and Anakin's secret lover. Ooh. You see, love and attachment is strictly forbidden in the Jedi Order, as it's viewed as a quick path to the dark side of the Force. According to the Jedi, loving another can lead to rash action and reckless thinking, something that the meditative Jedi look to avoid at all costs. In this case, the Jedi aren't wrong. Padme is led into a trap that leaves her stowed away on board the Malevolence, forcing the Republic starships to cease fire until they can safely escort her off. To achieve this, Anakin formulates yet another ambitious and dangerous plan, docking directly on the ship and rescuing her himself.
Really?
Obi-Wan Kenobi, a Jedi Master and Anakin's former master, helps with this plan, although he makes sure his objections are well known. This is the primary dynamic seen throughout the series between Obi-Wan and Anakin. The two are incredibly close, and oftentimes, Obi-Wan tries to be the voice of reason to Anakin's ambition. However, more often than not, Obi-Wan just ends up getting roped into Anakin's antics anyway. Anakin's rescue mission proves to be much less stealthy than originally planned, and he becomes separated from Obi-Wan. An intense chase ensues between Grievous and Obi-Wan, while Anakin and Padme scour the ship to find the protocol droid C-3PO. Though it didn't go so smoothly, by the end of their mission, Obi-Wan and Anakin not only save Senator Amidala, but managed to sabotage the ship's hyperdrive accelerator and Navi computer, causing it to crash into the nearby moon. Grievous is still out there, but nonetheless, mission accomplished and score 1 for the Republic. With the Malevolence out of commission, perhaps the Republic and the Jedi can focus their attention elsewhere. Our next episode, Rookies, takes us a little way from the Force to get a deeper look into the Republic's infantry, the clones. Get ready, because there is a lot to take in here. But I mean, come on, we can't talk about Clone Wars without talking about the clones. Specifically, in this episode, we meet perhaps the 2 most important and most skilled clones in the Army, Rex and Cody. Before that, however, I would like to offer a brief history lesson on these soldiers. As the name suggests, the soldiers of the Republic Army are genetically identical men, formed from the DNA of Jango Fett. The genome used was modified in such a way that makes the creations thereafter be more obedient, hyper-aggressive, and most importantly, grow faster. Essentially, from one gene, the Republic is able to rapidly create entire battalions of hyper-loyal soldiers. The clones are created on the rainy planet of Kamino, where they're born, bred, and trained to be the killing machines, or in some cases, the cannon fodder that we see them as in the show. There are really quite a lot of notable clones, and battalions of clones that arise throughout the series, and I'll make sure to point them out as they come. But for right now, let's join a few rookies on watch at an outpost on the Rishi Moon. The Rishi Moon outpost is a pivotal location in maintaining the security of Kamino as a whole, although more often than not, it's a quiet station. Today, it seems, the clones must put their training to the test as elite droid commandos attack the base as part of General Grievous's plan to destroy Kamino's cloning facilities. The surprise attack proves effective, with only 4 clones surviving the initial attack. Unfortunately for Grievous, during the time of the attack, Captain Rex, the unconventional leader of the 501st Legion, and Commander Cody, the by-the-book chief of the 3rd Systems Army, are on their way for a routine inspection. I mentioned earlier that Cody and Rex may be one of the 2 most important clones in the war, and that goes for their units as well. The 501st is one of, if not the most prestigious units in the Grand Republican Army, consisting of some of the most elite clones led by Rex and Anakin. This company is noticeable through their blue markings, so keep an eye out for them. Cody, on the other hand, is the clone marshal commander of the 3rd Systems Army with High General Obi-Wan Kenobi. This army is a large overall title for a collection of smaller units, including the 501st. Notably, Cody also leads the 212th Attack Battalion and the 7th Sky Corps with General Obi-Wan, other elite forces which are distinguished by their orange markings. Keep an eye out for them as well. I know, it's a lot of numbers and names to keep track of, but hey, at least they're color-coded. Back to the episode, Cody and Rex very quickly discover something's wrong at Rishi Outpost.
Something's not right here.
And uncover the commando droids trying to disguise themselves as clones. The ambush forces the clone leaders to retreat, where they find the last remaining clones of Domino Squad, Fives, Echo, and Heavy in the canyon below. With Rex and Cody's leadership, the rookie clones are able to help retake Rishi Outpost, and most hunker down to fight off a second wave to stop General Grievous's assault. Wave after wave of droids assault the base, forcing the clones to retreat further and to enact their plan to destroy the base and notify the Jedi. The detonator linked to the explosives is malfunctioning, however, and Heavy decides to stay behind to try and fix it. The detonator proves to be a complete dud, and Heavy makes the ultimate sacrifice. Fending off waves of droids, Heavy fights his way back to the control room and manually detonates the explosives.
I don't.
This removes the all-clear signal from the Republic starships, alerting them to the presence of trouble. Anakin and Obi-Wan arrive on scene to stop Grievous's attack, and for their bravery, Echo and Fives are inducted into the 501st Legion. However, everybody will always remember the sacrifice Heavy made to save Kamino. Jumping forward, our next episode, Cloak of Darkness, sees the Republic with a high-value target in their possession, Nute Gunray. Nute Gunray is a member of the Nemoidian alien race, and is the viceroy of the Trade Federation, a powerful conglomerate of shipping and trade all across the galaxy. The Trade Federation grew to such prominence that they reserved their own seats and representation in the Galactic Senate, and later became key members of the Separatist movement. So yeah, I'd say having one of the most prolific leaders of the Separatists is a pretty big deal. With the Viceroy in tow, Jedi Master Luminara Unduli, Ahsoka Tano, The Green Company of clone troopers and members of Senate commandos are en route for a trial. Of course, the Separatists aren't going to let Gunray go on trial without a fight. An all-out droid assault bombards the cruiser, and from the shadows, Asajj Ventress infiltrates the ship to secretly rescue the Viceroy. Master Unduli and Commander Gree of the Green Company leave Gunray with Ahsoka to reinforce their troops. Quick side note about Commander Gree, he's another of the really important leading clones. He's a commander of the 41st Elite Corps. Veteran Star Wars fans may or may not recognize Gree from his time on Kashyyyk when he served alongside Clone Captain Jack underneath Master Yoda. Again, longtime Star Wars fans will know how that story goes. Anyway, while Unduli and Gree assist their troops, Asajj Ventress infiltrates the engine room, setting up bombs all over the place. Ventress's movements don't remain secret for long as she battles it out with Ahsoka in the prison ward and later with Master Luminara in the engine room itself. Ahsoka leaves her post in the ward to assist in the lightsaber duel, leaving Gunray with only Captain Argaius, a few Senate commandos, and Commander Gree to watch him. Of course, this would be ample security if not for the fact that Captain Argaius is a dirty traitor. Ventress eventually overcomes the power of Ahsoka and Master Luminara, escaping off the ship with Argaius and the Viceroy. Consider this a display of just how powerful Asajj Ventress really is. Overcoming 2 Jedi is no small feat. The Viceroy escapes justice, but Argaius does not, as he's betrayed by Ventress during their venture off ship. Never trust a Sith, I suppose. The next episode, Defenders of Peace, sees our heroes search for a way off the planet Meriden, home to the Pacific species, the Lurmen. Although these pacifist ideals are tested with the arrival of Separatist weapons developer Lok Durd. Some of these names are very interesting. The show opens with a massive Separatist frigate arriving with an entire battalion of battle droids. Lok Durd and his battalion lay claim over the Lurmen village and ransack the place for any supplies or Republic contraband. The Separatists, however, are not here for diplomatic relations or territory expansion. In all reality, Lok Durd has developed a new weapon, the Defoliator Cannon. The Defoliator Cannon destroys any and all organic living material, while leaving mechanical creations unharmed. The perfect weapon for a faction with an army of robotic droids. They fire a test shot out that decimates a clearing, but feel they need live subjects to test it on, the Lurmen. While the Separatist battalion marches back to the village, our heroes infiltrate their metal base to firstly, commandeer a ship to leave the planet, but secondly, find a way to help defend the Lurmen from total annihilation. They stealthily cut through droid after droid and practically cripple the entire base quietly before boarding a ship, bringing some shield generators with them. The following morning, they arrive back at the village just in time to begin the construction of fortifications. The Separatists arrive and fire the Defoliator Cannon, eviscerating the landscape surrounding the shield. An all-out battle erupts in front of the village. Together, Ahsoka, Anakin, Ayla, Rex, and Bly take on full squadrons of droids alone. The numbers nearly become too overwhelming, but Wog II of the Lurmen rallies his people to bend their pacifist ways and defend their home. They fight back, indirectly disrupting the battle droids without killing them. This gives the Jedi and the clones the edge they need to claim victory over Lok Durd and save the Lurmen. Tiwat Ka, while not happy with the Jedi's involvement in their affairs, is thankful. However, as Republican battleships come in over the horizon, we wonder at what cost was their victory achieved. Our next episode, Storm over Ryloth, sees the Republic's answer to the Separatist occupation of the planet Ryloth. Ryloth is the home planet of the Isla Secura's brethren, the Twi'lek species, and it is currently being ruled over by the tyrannical Amir Wat Tambor of the Techno Union. As you may have guessed, the Techno Union is a faction aligned to the CIS, which is composed of many technological-based companies. In many ways, the Techno Union is the backbone of the Separatist movement, as they produce the countless battle droids that keep the fight going. However, there's a level of neutrality and plausible deniability the Techno Union may claim, as they also produce starships for the Galactic Republic. Essentially, they're just people profiting from war. So are they the bad guys, or are they just morally corrupt? Nonetheless, despite their supposed neutrality, the Techno Union, through their actions, clearly favor the CIS over the Republic. Alright, enough history, let's go back to the episode. The first step in freeing Ryloth from the Techno Union is to clear a path for Obi-Wan to make a large-scale assault. In charge of this mission is Padawan Ahsoka Tano, with her astromech droid R7A7. This is Ahsoka's first ever chance to lead her own squad, the Blue Squadron. On the opposing side of these initial skirmishes is Martuk, a captain of the CIS. Ahsoka's attack proves fierce and effective in the beginning. However, Martuk has laid a trap, and multiple Separatist frigates jump in to reinforce, overwhelming the Resolute. Ahsoka disobeys direct orders from Admiral Yularen and Anakin, which results in not only her squad being wiped out and the Republic retreating, but also sees Admiral Yularen injured. From Ahsoka's Blue Squadron, only clones Kickback and Swoop survive, a near total loss for the Republic. This course of action by Ahsoka to disobey in favor of being courageous is a trait that her master Anakin understands all too well. Of course, Ahsoka takes the heavy losses to her squadron very hard, and takes this as a learning point to the reality of war. Being a leader sometimes also means falling back to save lives.
That's the reality of command.
Now, Ahsoka's compassion for the losses she did sustain can't hold her down for much longer, because the Republic still needs to break through the Separatist blockade. Skywalker orders the total evacuation of their sister starship, the Defender, so that he may take sole control of it. Get ready for this daring plan. Skywalker is going to use the Defender essentially as a battering ram, navigating it directly into the enemy command ship. Following this, he plans on jettisoning away from the blast in an escape pod, leaving him vulnerable. To ensure his safety, he's leaving Ahsoka in command of the Resolute and its fighters to keep the droid fighters busy so that he can make his escape. Talk about unconventional, and maybe a bit reckless. But this is Anakin Skywalker we're talking about. Ahsoka herself is no stranger to ambition, and while on the command deck of the Resolute, formulates her own bold plan to coincide with General Skywalker's. The two armies meet again on the battlefield, and it's do or die for the Republic and for Ryloth. The Defender rams directly into the command ship, and Ahsoka takes lead on the Republic's bombing run. Through Ahsoka's well-timed and thought-out leadership, the Separatist blockade is crippled just in time for Obi-Wan and Windu's arrival. General Skywalker is retrieved, and the Republic can begin their ground assault to free Ryloth. Our next episode, Innocence of Ryloth, continues the story of the Battle of Ryloth from the ground assault perspective, and focuses on the humanitarian nature of some of the clones. The episode opens with General Kenobi and Cody leading the Ghost Company of the 212th Attack Battalion as they land for their assault. On board the gunships, we're quickly introduced to two other notable members of the Ghost Company, clones Waxer and Boyle, who we'll learn a bit more about later on in this episode. Before moving forward, however, Obi-Wan orders some reconnaissance to figure out a plan of attack. Cody and clone Wooly scout ahead, discovering that the Separatists have taken many Twi'lek prisoners. This will force the Republic to rethink their plan of attack to avoid killing any of the innocents of Ryloth. Meanwhile, Waxer and Boyle find a young Twi'lek, Numa, scouring around in alleyways near starvation. The two clones show a bit of their humanity and offer aid to the little one before moving on their way. This is notable because while the clones are bred for war, they are still human. The droid commander orders the release of starving creatures Gutkur onto the street to attack the clones. Obi-Wan is once again able to root the Separatist strategy through the use of clever Force tactics. The young Numa proves to be instrumental in the forthcoming attack. Her knowledge of the tunnel system beneath the city allows Obi-Wan to free the Twi'lek prisoners, and the assault on the Separatist occupation can begin in full swing. With some help from the freed Twi'lek, Ghost Company frees the city of Nabat and take a foothold on Ryloth. Waxer and Boyle as well leave the city, proud to have made a positive impact on the Twi'lek people. The next episode, Liberty on Ryloth, is the final chapter of the Liberation of Ryloth. This episode introduced another Jedi and battalion of clones, Mace Windu, in the Lightning Squadron of the 91st Reconnaissance Corps. Master Windu is a legendary Jedi, holding second chair on the Jedi Council just behind Yoda. Outside of being incredibly proficient in the Force, Windu is also very efficient with a lightsaber, having even created a completely new combat style. Also, purple is really cool. The Lightning Squadron is a division of the 91st Reconnaissance Corps that is led by Commander Pons, who can be identified by the maroon markings on his armor. The Lightning Squadron specifically is a group of proficient ARF troopers, or Advanced Recon Force troopers, who make good use of AT-RTs, Agile Walker Transports.
Bring out the Lightning Squadron!
Other notable members of Lightning Squadron right now are clones Stack and Razor. More on them later. Anakin and the 501st have taken control of the space around Ryloth, while Obi-Wan and the 212th have reclaimed the southern hemisphere. This leaves Master Windu and the 91st to plant the final flag for the liberation of Ryloth. Their goal is to take the capital city of Lasu City, where Amir Wat Tambor has established his base of operations. In doing so, the Separatists will take a heavy loss in the war, and the Twi'lek will be free of Cis tyranny. However, the Republic forces are spread too thin. To achieve his goal, Master Windu decides the best path to victory is to enlist the help of Twi'lek freedom fighters, led by Cham Syndulla. While Master Windu, Stack, and Razor seek out the aid of Leader Syndulla, Commander Pons discovers the Separatists' new strategy: destroy as much of Ryloth as possible before retreating. Wow, that's bitter. But according to Count Dooku, the strategy will send a message that siding with the Republic will only bring devastation. After coming to an agreement to guarantee a free Ryloth, Cham Syndulla aligns himself with Master Windu in the fight against the Separatists. Master Windu, Stack, and Razor are able to infiltrate into Lesu City thanks to Amir Tambor's greed. They take control of the bridge, allowing Cham Syndulla and the rest of the 91st to march on the Separatists. With some help from Anakin and Ahsoka in the sky, the Republic is able to retake Lesu City and capture Amir Tambor, therefore ending the Separatist occupation of Ryloth. The final episode of Season 1, Hostage Crisis, sees the introduction of a new faction for the coming season, Bounty Hunters. Not just any bounty hunters, though. This is a ruthlessly efficient band of brigands led by the notoriously brutal Cad Bane. Among the group, there are a number of terrifying droids, as well as Aurra Sing, the sniper, and Robo Nino, master of explosives and technology. Together, these hunters infiltrate the Senate building and take hostage a number of important senators, including Padme. But why are they here? Cad Bane regales all during a chat with Chancellor Palpatine, demanding the release of the crime lord Zero the Hutt. Anakin is on site at the Senate building, however, he is unfortunately without a lightsaber, which he gave to Padme as an act of devotion. The bounty hunters give a long chase for Skywalker, which ultimately ends up with him being knocked unconscious and captured by Aurra Sing and Robo Nino. Again, these are some incredibly efficient bounty hunters. With no capable defense, Chancellor Palpatine concedes to the demands of these hunters and sends Senator Orn Free Taa to release Zero the Hutt. With their demands met, Cad Bane and the other bounty hunters take their leave of the Senate building, leaving behind an explosive surprise which ensures their safe exit. Bane then detonates the bombs anyway, but luckily Anakin wakes up just in the nick of time to save the senators from certain doom at the crumbling atrium. And with that, Season 1 ends with a brand new threat for the Republic to overcome in Season 2. Season 2 opens up with Holocron Heist. We meet up with a number of our heroes at a battle on Felucia. Plo Koon, Commander Wolffe, and the Wolf Pack, remember them, are engaged in serious aerial conflict with Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka taking heavy fire. Ahsoka is certain she has the upper hand and directly refuses Anakin's order to retreat. This forces Anakin to stop Ahsoka himself. And lucky he did, because moments later, Ahsoka's location is overwhelmed by droids. Before moving too far ahead, let's discuss the Wolf Pack for a moment. Otherwise known as the 104th Battalion and led by General Plo Koon, we first met the Wolf Pack all the way back in Episode 2 of Season 1. Here, when engaged with the Malevolence, the majority of their troops were wiped out, leaving only Commander Wolffe and clones Sinker and Boost as the survivors. Since then, the Wolf Pack has grown in strength and are easily identifiable from the wolf symbol that covers their helmets. So, back to the episode. For Ahsoka's direct disobedience, she's tried before the Jedi Council, and as punishment, she's assigned guard duty over the Jedi Archives. The Jedi Archives are essentially a library, filled with a millennia of information on holocrons, which are organic crystals used to store data. Guarding the archives isn't going to be a walk in the park, as Darth Sidious, the puppet master behind the Separatists and Sith Lord, has need of a holocron. To get his hands on it, he employs the services of the ruthless Cad Bane. Breaking into the Jedi Temple is no easy feat, so to achieve his goal, Cad Bane has his droid Todo 360 uploaded with all data regarding its security and employs the assistance of one Cato Parasiti, a shapeshifter. Parasiti morphs into the shape of deceased Jedi Master Ord Innocence, and the heist begins. The temple goes on high alert as Bane enters the vents. Obi-Wan and Anakin are hot on his trail, but with Parasiti on the inside helping, he's able to stay a few steps ahead. Ahsoka, however, discovers the shapeshifter's deception and confronts Parasiti, who is now disguised as the librarian Madame Jocasta. Despite this setback, Bane is able to create one last distraction using Todo by sending him directly to the Jedi. With his distraction in play, the bounty hunter sneaks into the holocron vault undetected and leaves the Jedi Temple with his prize in hand. But what is it? None other than a list of every Force-sensitive child in the galaxy. So potential Jedi or potential Sith. The next episode, Children of the Force, sees the aftermath and execution of Darth Sidious's plan for the stolen holocron. In the previous episode, Cad Bane was able to get the crystal deciphered and uploaded, despite an attack by the 501st. Following that battle, Anakin and his man returned to the Resolute, unaware that they harbored a stowaway, Cad Bane himself. The bounty hunter escapes from the starship and contacts the Dark Lord of the Sith to begin his operation to kidnap Force-sensitive children. Members of the Jedi Council convene to meditate on the potential targets of Bane, narrowing their search down to 2 locations, Naboo and Rhodia. Obi-Wan ventures to the swampy planet of Rhodia, where Bane just barely slips through his fingers with a Rhodian baby. Anakin and Ahsoka travel to Naboo to protect a Force-sensitive Gungan infant. Here, they're able to ambush Bane and take him into custody. Unfortunately, though, the younglings he's already captured and the holocron are nowhere to be found. Through the use of Jedi mind manipulation, the Jedi are able to convince Bane to take them to where the children and the holocron are.
I'll take you to the holocron. You'll get your children back.
Somewhere far in the Outer Rim territories. Bane, of course, leads Master Windu and Kenobi into a trap, escaping from their clutches once again. However, all is not lost, as the two are able to escape from their death trap and recover the holocron in their exit. Beyond this, in a stroke of genius, Anakin tracks the fuel records from Bane's old ship to the far-off lava planet of Mustafar. They don't know it quite yet, but this is exactly where the younglings are being held. On the planet, we learn from Darth Sidious that he plans on enslaving the little ones to create a massive spy network of Force-sensitive soldiers for his ranks. I mean, well, that might take a few years, Sidious, but points for ambition. Anakin and Ahsoka arrive on planet, and Sidious orders the destruction of the base that the children are on. However, the Jedi are able to jump in and save the children before the building sinks into the fiery lava below. The children are safe, and the holocron is recovered, but Bane is still out there, and sure to be a continuous thorn in the Republic's side. For our next episode, landing at Point Rain, the Republic returns to Geonosis to retake Geonosis from Separatist influence. And get ready, because this is the official beginning of the second Battle of Geonosis, and there are quite a few moving parts here. For their mission, the Jedi plan on taking out the leader of the Geonosians, Poggle the Lesser, who is holed up in the primary droid Foundry. To achieve their goal, the Jedi must firstly take out the shield that surrounds the Foundry, and will do so with a 3-pronged attack to the generator. The difficult aspect of this plan will be pushing through the front lines and reaching the rendezvous point. Now, as I said, there are a lot of moving parts here, so let's break it down by squadron. General Kenobi, Commander Cody, and the 212th are the first to make their assault. They are met with intense fire that shoots down numerous gunships, but Commander Cody is able to reach the rendezvous point. General Kenobi's ship is shot out of the sky, leaving no survivors except for Kenobi and Clone Trapper. Waxer and Boyle retrieve them from the ship to return to the landing zone and await the rest of the army's arrival. General Skywalker and General Ki-Adi-Mundi were next to launch their assault. Anakin's attack force consists of himself, Ahsoka, Rex, and the rest of the 501st. Their landing attempt is short-lived, as they're shot down well before reaching the rendezvous point. They find themselves stuck behind a massive enemy fortification that is littered with droids and turrets. Ki-Adi-Mundi leads Commander Jet and the Special Operations Task Force clones into battle. These clones have equipment geared very specifically for Geonosian resistance that makes them easier to identify. Their attack, as well, falls quite short of the rendezvous, and they're left to march the rest of the way, fighting off the native Geonosian soldiers. Well, it's looking like things aren't going exactly as planned here, but not to worry. The 212th is able to maintain his defensive perimeter long enough for the other attack forces to break through the lines and meet up with them. With all the forces combined, the Republic is able to push through the shield barrier and destroy the generator, taking the key first victory in the second battle of Geonosis. The next episode, Weapons Factory, sees the follow-up to the successful landing at Point Rain. The 501st remain on the ground with their Jedi to begin the plot to destroy the droid foundry. For reinforcements, the 41st Elite Corps, General Lumara's battalion, join them on the planet. Alongside Master Luminara is Jedi Padawan Baris Offee. The factory at hand to be destroyed is positioned in such a way that makes a frontal assault too dangerous. So to work around this issue, Luminara had preemptively instructed Baris to memorize the layout of catacombs beneath the factory for a more deceptive approach. The plan will be for Anakin and Rex of the 501st, as well as Luminara and Gree of the 41st to lay down a distraction at the forefront of the factory, while the Padawans sneak in and plant bombs at the core. Ahsoka and Barriss are able to reach the control room. However, their infiltration does not go unnoticed, and they're trapped inside with a new separatist weapon, the super tank. Ahsoka and Barriss are able to commandeer the massive tank, but with their bombs confiscated, they don't have a way to destroy the core. This leaves them with no choice but to fire upon the core with the tank while they're still inside the factory. The mission is successful, but the Padawans are trapped beneath the rubble of the factory. However, Ahsoka is able to get a distress call that leads Skywalker and Unduli to them just in the nick of time. It may have been a closer call than either Jedi would have liked, but the Foundry is destroyed, and the Republic can reclaim Geonosis once more. Our next episode, Deserter, sees General Kenobi hot on the tail of General Grievous. The episode opens with Kenobi and his small squadron of clones coming across Grievous's crashed ship, but no sign of Grievous himself. To better their chances of finding him, Kenobi splits his forces. Rex heads off with clones, Jesse, Hardcase, and Kix, while Kenobi leads with Commander Cody and Clone Chris. While out searching, Rex is injured in a droid commando ambush. The men find shelter at a nearby farm, and Kix is able to provide aid for Rex. The injury, however, keeps Rex from continuing the search for Grievous. Clone Jesse is placed in charge, and the search party leaves Rex under the watchful eye of Sue LeQuain, the local farmer. While everyone is busy tracking down the Separatist general, Rex comes face to face with the owner of the farm. And it turns out to be the exact same face as his. That's right, it's another clone. Only this clone, named Cut LeQuain, is no longer serving under the Republic. He's a deserter.
You're a deserter.
Rex is initially disgusted, seeing a brother of his shirk his duty to the Republic. Remember, the clones are born and bred to be soldiers that place duty over everything. However, we've also touched on how the clones are still people, with feelings and emotions. Remember how Waxer and Boyle treated Lil Numa last season? Over dinner, Cut reminds us of this fact. He stresses to Rex that although they are clones, they are also individuals.
Yes, well, you and I may be clones, but we're still individuals. You have a name rather than a number, Captain.
One thing to keep in mind about the clones is that they all tend to think alike, being clones of one person. So there's a small part of Rex that understands and is slowly starting to sympathize with Cut. Over a game of Dejeric holochess, Cut explains that he deserted the war following the first battle of Geonosis. During that battle, his entire squad was wiped out, leaving him feeling empty and meaningless, feeling like he was nothing more than another expendable asset to the Republic. So he ran, looking to find his own path, his own meaning. Eventually, Cut found himself here on Salukami with a wife and 2 kids who he will protect with everything in him. And Cut shows that he is still just as combat capable as any of his other clone counterparts. Shay and Jack, Cut's kids, uncover an escape pod filled with droid commandos. After inadvertently activating them, they attack the farm. Cut shows his battle prowess, and with some help from Rex, he's able to fend off the attack. Now, while all of this is going on, the search for Grievous has come to its conclusion. Kenobi and his men do everything in their power to stop Grievous from escaping the planet, but the clever general finds a way to slip through the Jedi's hands once again. The next morning, Rex readies himself to leave, and he chooses not to report his deserter brother, understanding and respecting his wish for a peaceful life. The important takeaway here is that clones are capable of free will. The majority are just so duty-driven and loyal to their brothers and the Republic that they stay. Cut, just like his brothers, is fiercely loyal and duty-driven. The Republic is to Rex, what the LeQuains are to Cut. Both men fight to protect their families. Their families just look very different. Jumping forward to our next episode, Death Trap, there's a traitor hidden in plain sight on board the Endurance, Boba Fett. Now, earlier on, I gave a brief introduction to the creation of the clones. They're formed from the genes of one Jango Fett. Boba is his son, sort of. Before agreeing to allow his DNA to be used for the Republic Army, he made one request: an unmodified clone of himself. A son that doesn't age as fast. Since Boba's DNA was not modified, he obviously aged normally, and was essentially just another child version of Jango. Boba, of course, loved Jango like a father, and in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, Jango was killed by Jedi Master Mace Windu, which is a story for another time. However, Boba witnessed this killing, and since then has plotted his revenge on Master Windu. Here on the Endurance, Boba puts his plan into action. Disguised as a clone cadet, Boba has infiltrated the ranks of the clones. He sneaks away, guided by someone over a communicator. Boba plants an explosive in Master Windu's quarters and returns to await his success. His success never comes, and the station is now on high alert following the explosion. With Master Windu still alive, the voice on Boba's communicator instructs him to sneak into the reactor and destroy it. Boba, however, is not interested in killing everyone, only Master Windu.
But the crew, it isn't about them, just Mace.
Begrudgingly, he follows orders, destroys the reactor. Single-handedly, Boba has sabotaged the Endurance, which is plummeting towards the planet Vancor. Boba escapes the ship with other cadets and is picked up by the mysterious voice, Aurra Sing, on the iconic Star Wars ship, the Slave One. Our next episode, R2 Come Home, is the penultimate of Season 2, and sees the after effects of the crash of the Endurance as the Jedi search for survivors. At the crash site, Windu and Skywalker only find clone corpses, but they were not killed in the crash. They were blasted. Commander Pons and Admiral Killian are nowhere to be found, but whoever shot the clone survivors left behind a souvenir, Jango Fett's old helmet. And by souvenir, I mean a trap. Boba, Aurra, and the other bounty hunters watch as the helmet explodes. Nearby, they have Commander Pons and Killian tied and gagged. Boba demands to go make sure Windu is really dead, and convinces Aurra that Skywalker and Windu would add a large amount of money to the bounty they already have. Windu and Anakin, though, did survive, but they're trapped beneath the rubble. Their only hope for rescue is R2-D2. For those unfamiliar, R2-D2 is an astromech droid that has been present in just about every major Star Wars product. R2 is an essential part of the Star Wars story, largely thanks to how resourceful he is and his ability to provide support at crucial times. Right now, he's tasked with returning to the Jedi on Coruscant to get help for Anakin and Mace Windu. R2 makes his way to Anakin's starfighter and takes off. The bounty hunters, however, don't know this is just R2 and believe it to be the Jedi making their escape, so they take off as well to chase after him. But R2 is perhaps the most resourceful droid in the entire Star Wars universe. He manages to escape the bounty hunters and get word to Master Plo Koon and Ahsoka about the trapped Jedi. Anakin and Mace are rescued, but Boba is still out there, and he still has Admiral Killian and Commander Pons in custody. The next episode, Lethal Trackdown, sees the chase between Master Plo Koon and Ahsoka Tano as they try to rescue the hostages from Aurra and Boba. Unfortunately, the Republic suffers the loss of Commander Pons when Aurra tries to draw out Master Windu. To get information on Aurra Sing's location, Plo and Ahsoka head to the Coruscant underground. Here, Ahsoka is able to clear her mind and overhears something about Aurra recently killing someone on Florum. That's right, we're heading back to Hondo Akano's stomping grounds for the final confrontation of Season 2. Although Hondo is housing Aurra and Boba, he does not wish to be involved in their plot to kill Windu. So when Plo Koon and Ahsoka arrive, he does not hinder their entrance. Plo and Aurra sit for a chat, which is obviously a trap. Things explode, metaphorically and literally, very quickly. Aurra Sing tries to divert the Jedi away from Bossk, who has the hostages outside of Slave One, but Master Plo is much too smart for that. Ahsoka flies onto the scene and disarms Bossk. The hostages are freed, but before they can flip the script and take any prisoners of their own, Aurra rides in, knocks everyone away, and boards Slave One. Ahsoka is able to mount onto the ship before it takes off and destroys the glass around the cockpit. Back on Coruscant, Plo and Ahsoka arrive with Bossk and Boba in cuffs, and Season 2 ends with these two soon-to-be iconic bounty hunters behind bars. For the first episode of Season 3, Clone Cadets, think all the way back to Rookies from Season 1. In that episode, we were introduced to the clones guarding the Rishi outpost and the events thereafter. Mention a few names that episode: Heavy, Fives, Echo, Droid Bait, and Cut Up. These are, or rather were, the members of Domino Squad, and in this episode we get to rejoin these clones in a flashback of sorts to their time as cadets on Kamino. Here, the Domino Squad are undergoing their final trials before being promoted to troopers. Unfortunately, these clones seem to have a terribly hard time working with one another.
No, you go.
As noted by their superiors, Brick, Ellis, and Jedi Master Shaak Ti. An interesting note here about Shaak Ti: she represents the Jedi for Kamino, overseeing training and the creation of the clones. Her presence on the planet operates in stark contrast to the native Kaminoans. To the Kaminoans, the clones are nothing more than products to be shipped, but to Shaak Ti, and really all the Jedi, the clones are people too, individuals worthy of caring for. Alright, back to the episode. Echo works too by the book. Heavy tries to be a one-man army. Cut Up doesn't seem to take anything seriously. Droid Bait tends to be a magnet for enemy fire. Essentially, the Domino Squad is far too dysfunctional for promotion. It comes time for their final trial, which is overseen by ARC Trooper Commander Blitz of the Rancor Battalion. Quick note, ARC Troopers, or Advanced Recon Commandos, are the best of the best, and are distinguishable by their specific armor, oftentimes coming equipped with shoulder pieces like we see on Captain Rex. Right now, the dysfunction of the Domino Squad is on full display for their final trial performance, which ends in early failure.
Broke formation, disobeyed orders, and you left a man behind. You broke rule number 1.
Their drill sergeants, Brick and Ellis, acknowledge this, and they take different approaches on what to do next. Brick thinks the clones should simply be put on sanitation duty, while Ellis thinks they could be the finest troopers in the army if given the right care. Domino Squad is granted one final opportunity to prove themselves with a retest at the behest of Master Shaak Ti. However, before this retest can happen, Heavy tries to sneak out and go AWOL. It's only thanks to encouraging words from Clone 99 that he decided to stay. 99 is a clone who, unfortunately, saw some issues during the cloning process that left him malformed. He has since been left on his home planet of Kamino for sanitation duty, and he has seen countless cadets undergo graduation. This time around, he sees the struggles of Domino Squad and offers as much advice and support as he can. Hey, he might not be combat capable, but 99 is always there to help his brothers where he's able to. With renewed faith in themselves and in their squad mates, Domino Squad faces the Citadel challenge once again. This time around, they're able to overcome the obstacles specific to them from before and work as a unit. They not only ace the test, they prove Sergeant Ellis correct when they show a level of ingenuity not seen in any of the other squadrons. Domino Squad receives their graduation medals, and Heavy shows his appreciation to the one that inspired him the most, 99. This next episode, ARC Troopers, I'm going to say ARC from now on, not ARC, makes it easier, keeps us on the planet Kamino. Only now, we aren't watching clones get trained for war, the war has found its way here. This episode is all about the Battle of Kamino, but before jumping into that, it's important to note that this episode brings us back into the chronological timeline of the show. We're no longer in a flashback of the Domino Squad. So, the events that happen on Rishi have caught back up with us, meaning Heavy, Droidbait, and Cutup are unfortunately gone. A fact that Clone 99 is sad to hear. So Jedis Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi receive vital intel that General Grievous and Asajj Ventress are plotting an attack on the cloning facilities, ushering them to Kamino with the 212th and 501st, and remember that Echo and Fives, the sole survivors of Domino Squad, were made members of the 501st following the attack on Rishi. The Separatists arrive via starship, as is normally the case. Anakin, Clone Broadside, and the rest of Shadow Squadron launch into space for the defense, but things are almost too easy. Like General Grievous is being uncharacteristically reckless, General Kenobi grows suspicious, and rightfully so.
Something's not right.
As it turns out, underneath the waters of Kamino, Aqua droids are deploying and constructing Trident-class assault craft, essentially squid-shaped watercraft that transport battle droids. The Tridents launch and latch on at various points of the cloning facility. The Separatist goal, to destroy the facilities, and to steal the DNA used for the cloning process. ARC Commander Havoc leads a steadfast defense of the main hangar bay, holding off wave after wave of Aqua droids. Unfortunately, he is killed in the assault when he finds himself distracted by Clone 99, who is running supplies for the garrison. Deeper inside the facility, ARC Commander Colt leads the defense of the DNA chamber, but Asajj Ventress' control over the Force proves too strong, and the ARC Commander is impaled by the Sith apprentice. Anakin is able to cut off Ventress before she can leave with the DNA, and the two fight it all across the facility. Meanwhile, General Grievous leads his droids to attack the clone barracks. However, the general is intercepted by Kenobi and the two fight it out. Inside the barracks, clones Echo and Fives rally the troops to fight back against the attacking droids. 99 shows the troops the way to the armory, and the makeshift squadron fends off the droids. Unfortunately, Clone 99 fell in the skirmish when he ran to help his brothers get some more ammunition. A true soldier through and through. The battle wages on outside. Kenobi has Grievous on the run, and Anakin has Ventress on the ropes. ARC Commander Hammer leads specially armed troops with blaster cannons to destroy the Trident ships, with their numbers dwindling. The Separatist leaders have no choice but to retreat. Ventress and Grievous may have escaped, but the battle is won. Kamino is safe, and in no small part thanks to Echo and Five stepping up when they were needed most. For their valor, the two sole survivors of Domino Squad are given a great honor, the title of ARC Troopers. Alright, let's jump forward just a little bit. This next episode, Night Sisters, opens on a raging battle between the Republic and the Separatists. Asajj Ventress is once again seeking to destroy the ever-elusive Anakin and Obi-Wan. However, things take an unexpected turn for the apprentice when her master, Count Dooku, betrays her at the behest of the Dark Lord Darth Sidious. Dooku orders the destruction of the Separatist flagship with Ventress still inside, and with no signs of survivors, he believes his former apprentice to be dead. However, Ventress is anything but dead. Matter of fact, she seems to be fueled even more by rage and the desire for revenge. She returns to her homeworld, Dathomir, to seek aid from Mother Talzin and the Night Sisters. The Night Sisters are a coven of witches and Dark Force users. By tapping into the magical ichor on their home planet, they're able to perform feats of arcane power. Through the use of dark magics, Mother Talzin is able to revive Asajj Ventress. During her time unconscious, we get a glimpse into the backstory of the former apprentice. When she was a child, Ventress showed immense potential in the Force when she was trying to fight off slavers from her mother. Jedi Knight Kai Narek took Ventress on as a Padawan, but upon Narek's death, Ventress was consumed by anger and fell to the dark side. This descent was only reinforced when she fell under the apprenticeship of Dooku. Working for the dark side means channeling those more negative aspects: anger, jealousy, vengeance. So it comes as no surprise that Dooku's betrayal will not be taken lightly by Ventress. Mother Talzin understands Ventress's desire, and so lends all the aid she can for her quest to end Dooku. Once again, through the use of Night Sister magic, Talzin cloaks Ventress in darkness and gives her a sense-muting poison. Ventress and Night Sisters Naleth and Karis arrive at Dooku's palace and sneak in unseen. Despite the advantages afforded by Mother Talzin, the sisters fail to defeat the Sith Lord. All's not lost for Ventress, though, because on her return to the planet, Talzin seems to have concocted a plan to get closer to Dooku. A plan we will see play out in the coming episodes. This next episode, Monster, sees the creation of just that, a monster. But before getting to that, let's touch on the society of the planet of Dathomir and the Night Sisters. The Night Sisters are a subspecies of an alien race called the Zabrak. Now, the history here runs very deep, but here are the important things to know. Most of the Zabrak species live off-planet on the homeworld of Iridania, but those that live on Dathomir are referred to either as Night Sisters or Night Brothers. Mother Talzin, essentially, brought the Night Sisters back from the brink. Through her leadership, the once splintered clans of Night Sisters united under one banner, hers. Through her dark magic, Mother Talzin bonded the Night Brothers to the Coven, making them subservient to the will of their sisters. A notable member of this small collection of Zabrak, outside of Talzin and Ventress, is a former Sith apprentice known as Darth Maul, who we will meet in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Maul gained notoriety and respect among the Sith for his brutality and ferocity in battle. Despite this, we last saw Maul fall to the Jedi Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yes, the now Master Kenobi. In this episode, Ventress travels to the Night Brother colony to find herself a suitable servant that Talzin will place as Dooku's side as his new apprentice. To find a worthy successor, Ventress sends a collection of the men through a series of trials to test their strength and will. All fail except for one: Savage Opress. Savage Opress's vigor stems from the protective nature he feels for his younger brother Farrell.
My life is yours.
Ventress is satisfied by Savage's performance and returns to the Night Sister Coven with him. At their abbey, Talzin and the other witches perform a ritual on Savage that leaves his mind in tatters but greatly increases his physical size as well as his strength. As a test, they present Farrell before him, and Savage kills him, disgusted by his weakness. Count Dooku accepts Savage Opress as his new personal assassin and sends him out to the forests of Deveron to test his skill. Here, Savage makes quick work of Jedi Knight Halsey, Padawan Nox, and Commander Trauma's clone unit. This guy could prove a problem for both the Republic and the Separatists. Our next episode, Witches of the Mist, sees the culmination of Ventress's plot for revenge on Grievous with Savage Opress. The Jedi have received word of the loss of the temple in the Deveron forests. Holotape evidence reveals it to be Savage Opress. Anakin and Obi-Wan launch an investigation in Dathomir that leads them to Toydaria. You know, that planet from Season 1, Episode 1? Here, they're able to intercept Savage as he attempts to kidnap King Kuntunko, but the Night Brother is much too powerful for them to stop. A little too powerful for his own good, in fact, as his kidnapping mission inadvertently becomes an assassination. Savage brings King Kuntunko's body back to Count Dooku, who's very displeased. He strikes his apprentice with Force Lightning as punishment. Moments later, Dooku's former protege emerges from the shadows and enacts her plan to assassinate her former master. though even with Oppress's and Ventress's power combined, they're still no match for Dooku. Anger swells within Savage as Ventress belittles him, so much so he turns his back on her. Dooku manages to escape right before Anakin and Obi-Wan arrive to take on Savage. With his betrayal of Dooku, Savage is now labeled a traitor of the Sith.
Commander, Savage Opress is a traitor. Destroy him.
Roger, roger.
And so the battle droids on board fire upon both the Jedi and him. Though seriously injured, Savage manages to make a getaway back to Dathomir. Back home, Savage pleads with Mother Talzin to help him find a way to increase his strength. The mother then drops some major family history. It is revealed that Farrell wasn't Savage's only brother. There was another, and to grow his power, Savage must leave in search of this long-lost brother, the brother that goes by the name of Maul. For our next episode, Overlords, things get a little paranormal for our heroes. Hang in there, everybody. This is packed with lore. A strange signal containing an ancient Jedi distress call is caught by the Council. It's a serious cause for concern, and so Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan travel to a far corner of the galaxy to investigate. They're set to rendezvous with Captain Rex. However, upon arriving at the coordinates, neither party is able to find the other. Power and communication systems shut down for the Jedi, and they're sucked into a massive cuboid structure floating in the middle of space. They are consumed by an incredibly bright light and awaken somewhere they do not recognize. Somewhere the holocomputer doesn't recognize. Somewhere outside of the universe that radiates with the Force. The trio is greeted by a life form bathed in light that refers to herself only as Daughter.
I am Daughter.
She asks if Anakin is the Chosen One. More on that in a moment. Daughter beckons the Jedi to follow her to meet someone only referred to as Father, and with no other choice, they oblige. However, en route, a cliff face collapses, separating Anakin from Kenobi and Ahsoka. Night soon falls over the planet, and everything around them begins to fade away. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are confronted by a tall male figure shrouded in darkness. Sun poses the question again. Is Anakin the Chosen One? Kenobi finds this question disturbing and evades a response as rain begins to fall. Okay, so are we going to talk about that? What is the Chosen One? Well, it's a long and rich story, one that George Lucas told over the course of the entire Star Wars movie franchise. The short of it goes that the Force requires balance. Not just light, not just dark, but a good balance between the two. In Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn discovered a Force-sensitive youngling on Tatooine, Anakin. Only young Anakin wasn't just Force-sensitive. Qui-Gon saw potential in this youngling he had never seen in any other before. He believed Anakin to be the Chosen One, or the one to fulfill the prophecy that will bring the Force into balance. Upon Qui-Gon's death in that movie, the training of Anakin fell to Obi-Wan.
Promise me you will train the boy.
Yes, Master.
He fell in love with Padme. He avenged his mother's murder. The Clone Wars started, and boom, we're caught up. Now at this point in the timeline, Anakin is still struggling with many of his darker attributes. The attributes that make him an unconventional Jedi. Things like attachment, impulsiveness, and impatience. These are the representations of the dark side that dwell within Anakin. And his struggle to overcome these things is a major plot point in both the movies and the show. Whether or not Anakin will completely shut out the dark side as the Chosen One to bring balance to the Force remains to be seen at this point in the story. Again, this is a story that took place over 6 movies. Star Wars The Clone Wars is just a blip in time for the overall Star Wars plot. Alright, back to the episode. Anakin uncovers a massive monastery housing the one known as Father. While hiding out from the rain, all 3 of our heroes are met with visions created by Sun. Obi-Wan is met with the ghost of Qui-Gon, who details many of the things we just discussed about Anakin's training. Anakin is met by his late mother, whose death still haunts him. And interestingly, Ahsoka is met by a future version of herself that warns her of potential darkness that Anakin's training is planting within her. Father then reveals everything about their location, and himself to Anakin. Father and his children are known as Force wielders, being so strong in the Force that they had to leave the material realm and live somewhere in between. Here, Father is able to control his children, maintain a balance between the two of them to avoid the potential destruction of the universe as we know it. However, he is growing old and tired. He is dying. And should Anakin prove to be the Chosen One, he would request that the Jedi take his place and the balancing factor between the two. To test Anakin, Father takes him to an arena in the monastery, where Daughter and Son present Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. Anakin is met with a choice. He can only save one of them. But Anakin refuses to play Father's game and places both Daughter and Son under his control, thereby proving himself to, in fact, be the Chosen One. However, Anakin refuses to stay. Father is true to his word. and allows Anakin to leave. Alright, next episode, Counterattack, brings us right back into the Clone Wars. Following a daring infiltration into the impenetrable Separatist prison, the Citadel, the Jedi must make their escape with the now freed Jedi Master, Evan Peel. Among the strike team on this mission is, of course, Commander Cody and Captain Rex. But the newly promoted ARC troopers, Echo and Fives, are along for the ride as well. The rescue teams are split into two groups. Anakin's group, consisting of Ahsoka, Echo, Fives, Captain Rex, and the rescued Captain Wilhoof Tarkin, are traversing along the edges of a massive chasm. For anyone hearing the name Tarkin and thinking, why does that sound familiar? Well, Tarkin is a key player as Admirable in the original Star Wars trilogy. Skywalker's team blows through a dead end and makes it to the surface using a fuel pipeline. On the surface, however, they're met with fierce resistance and are forced to resort to Plan B.
Let's go. Time for Plan B.
The key to their escape is a shuttle operated by R2 and some reprogrammed battle droids. The bots make their way to the rendezvous, but with no sign of Kenobi or Skywalker, the group was forced to head inside to maintain their cover. It's a good thing they did, because inside they run into Kenobi's squad, consisting of Commander Cody, Master Peel, and other members of the 212th in chains. The reprogrammed droids are able to trick their Separatist counterparts to free the Jedi, and the group make their escape. Also resorting to Plan B, both groups rendezvous at the shuttle's docking bay, but their escape is thwarted by the warden of the prison, Osi Sabek. The warden concludes that this is their only point of escape, and so laid an ambush for the Jedi and their clones. The attacking droids aren't much of an issue for the Jedi and the elite clones in the squadron. The real problem lies in the turret that could destroy the shuttle and completely ruin their chance of escape. Realizing this, ARC Trooper Echo makes a mad dash to destroy the turret before he can neutralize their way out. Unfortunately, though, his decision was hasty. The turret blasts the shuttle to pieces, and Echo is consumed by the explosion. The rescue squad is able to escape from the fighting, but now they're trapped on the Citadel with no way off. Their only hope remains to be Master Plo Koon, who must now venture deep into Sith territory with a fleet of Republic starships. Continuing right along, Citadel Rescue is about exactly what the title says. The Republic is on its way to rescue the rescue team. That's ironic. The Jedi and their rescue squadron are trapped on the surface level of the planet Lola Sayu, and the treacherous terrain makes an easy pickup nearly impossible. Our heroes must trek to a distant planet that would allow for Republic gunships to land safely. Of course, this venture will not be an easy one with Warden Sabek hot on their tails. Not only is the Warden's job on the line, but so is his very life. So he launches everything he has at the Jedi. Crab droids, commando droids, and even native fauna. The ferocious Anuba. These vicious, canine-like creatures quickly pick up on the scent of the escapees and bog them down in a cave system long enough for a detachment of droids to accompany them. Jedi Master Peel and Ahsoka do everything they can to hold off the creatures so the clones might make it to a safe space, but a rogue Anuba pounces on Peel, mauling him. The Master is terribly injured, and with his dying breath whispers vital information into Ahsoka's ear.
Listen to me carefully, child.
The Jedi and their men take a moment to honor the fallen Peel before continuing on. They soon find their rendezvous point, and with Warden Sabak himself, our heroes hold off the Separatists to the best of their ability while they wait the arrival of their rescue team. In the atmosphere above, the Battle of Lola Sayu rages on as the Republic fleet arrives. Jedi Master Saesee Tiin escorts a clone gunship through the Separatist blockade to the surface below. At the rendezvous, fighting ramps up, and Warden Sabak nearly throws Captain Tarkin into the boiling magma, but Ahsoka jumps in just in time to save the captain by impaling Sabak. Moments later, the gunship arrives. Master Plo Koon and the Wolfgang emerge to cover the rescue squadron's retreat. Finally, the Jedi are able to escape Lola Sayu. But what was this rescue attempt for? I mean, outside of saving lives. Well, the information Master Peel held onto turns out to be vitally important hyperspace route. This intel is known as the Nexus route, as it would allow either faction quick, effective, and easy access to the capital of the opposing faction and could thereby shift the tide of the war. To conceal this information, Peel held half of the intel, and Tarkin the other. Ahsoka vowed to only reveal her half to the Jedi Council, where Tarkin vowed to only reveal it to the Chancellor. Though fragmented, the Republic has the information secure, and if both parties can cooperate, there might be an end to the Clone Wars yet. Our next episode, Wookiee Hunt, is the final episode of Season 3. Ahsoka has been captured by Trandoshan hunters and released into thick jungles for a sick game of manhunt. After rallying a group of Padawan younglings captured years before, Ahsoka and the survivors decide to take the fight back to their twisted hunters. The young Jedi manage to completely destroy the hunters' prison transport, and among the wreckage, a tall, furry being emerges. A Wookiee. And not just any Wookiee, it's Chewbacca. For those unfamiliar, Chewbacca is an iconic character in the Star Wars franchise and will play a pivotal role in the later movies. With Chewbacca's immense strength, the Badawans managed to get themselves a prisoner that they used to launch an all-out assault on the Trandoshan command ship. Chewie's not all brawn though. He's smart too. Really smart. Using the salvage from the fallen prisoner ship, Chewie gets a transmitter working to send out a distress call to his homeworld. It's a good thing he did too, because just as the assault begins to go south, Chieftain Tarful of the Wookiees arrives, on scene to lend a hand. Even without her lightsaber, Ahsoka is able to overcome the Trandoshan leader and claim victory for the survivors. On the return to Coruscant, Ahsoka reunites with Anakin and explains that it's all thanks to his training that she found the will and ability to live. Alright, let's jump into the episode Darkness on Umbara. To kick off this next season, Season 4, titled Battle Lines, sees the Clone Wars reach new heights of danger as the war wages on. To best exemplify this, we're jumping right in at the invasion of Umbara, one of the longest campaigns in the whole war. This episode focuses on the 501st Legion as they make their landing on the shadowy planet and the struggles therein. Anakin and Rex lead the 501st in this assault, with ARC Trooper 5s and Clones Troopers Hardcase, Kix, Jesse, Tup, and Dogma in the infantry. Landing proves difficult, but the clones touch down with ATRTs and engage the local separatists' aligned Umbaran militia. The landing is rough, but the 501st make their landing successfully and begin their rear advance to the capital. However, before they can make progress on their mission, a gunship arrives at Skywalker's location with Jedi Master Pong Krell. The Jedi arrives with orders that Anakin is to return to Coruscant and relieve command of the 501st to Krell. Anakin and Obi-Wan present a certain amount of care for their men, a care that Krell does not possess. He's overly strict and sees the clones as expendable, even refusing to use their names, only their CT numbers.
CT-7567.
With a new leader, things are tense for the 501st, but they'll have to get used to it, because Krell is going to be leading them throughout this whole invasion. The next episode, Plan of Descent, sees the clones continue on towards their attack on the capital. Despite the failures in the past and the countless lives lost, General Krell is still insistent on a full forward attack on the heavily fortified capital. A number of our named clones in the 501st have grown tired of General Krell's blatant disregard for their lives, most notably ARC Trooper 5s. 5s, while loyal to the very end, also acknowledges the inhumane nature of General Krell's tactics, and refuses to follow orders that will do nothing but get people killed. 5s expresses that he will not just be another number. Sounds similar to someone we met a few seasons ago. Captain Rex, as well, understands that Krell is being unreasonable and cruel, but he has his orders and will play them out, as is his duty. The primary reason the capital has remained impenetrable is the constant supply runs they receive from their fleet. So 5s has mustered up a plan that will allow them to cut off this supply route, thereby leaving the city vulnerable. Having taken over an Umbaran airbase, they have access to their starfighters. Using these, 5s as well as clones Jesse and Hardcase will infiltrate the fleet and destroy it from the inside. Their plan goes south when their infiltration is discovered and the droids launch a defensive attack, cutting off access to the reactor core. Knowing this mission will save his brother's lives, Hardcase makes the ultimate sacrifice and launches a missile pod into the reactor with himself still inside. 5s and Jesse return to the base with heavy hearts, but a mission complete. In the next episode, Carnage of Krell, the Jedi Master is not happy one bit. For directly disobeying him, Krell orders the execution of 5s and Jesse. Spearheading this firing squad is Clone Dogma, who actually sees eye to eye and is blindly loyal to Krell. His brothers, however, refuse to carry on with the execution, knowing that 5s and Jesse are heroes to the 501st and to the Republic. Before Krell can reprimand Captain Rex for his disobedience, new intel comes through that the droids are attacking the airbase disguised as clones. The entirety of the 501st leaves to meet the enemy on the battlefield, but as it turns out, they aren't droids at all. It's the 212th Attack Battalion. Leading the 212th is Platoon Leader Waxer, and with his dying breath, he reveals that General Krell gave the 212th the exact same falsified information.
It was General Krell.
Countless lives were lost on both sides before the realization set in, and so, Captain Rex takes it upon himself to get justice. Krell does not go quietly into his arrest and makes a break into the Umbaran wilderness. Quick-thinking Tup is able to lure the Jedi into the native Vixis, a tentacled creature with razor-sharp teeth. The creature is able to disorient Krell enough that Tup can stun him and the clones can take him in. While in the brig, Krell reveals he has turned his back on the Jedi Order because he foresees the fall of the Republic. Everything was done to save his skin and hopefully attract the attention of Dooku. Dogma overcomes his blind loyalty and shoots Krell,
Eventually, you'll have to do the right thing.
leaving no chance that he might bring intel to the Separatists. The 501st leaves for the capital, and with the invasion of Umbara completed, I'm sure they'd love to forget this whole ordeal. Our next episode, Deception, takes us away from the battlefield and into the Coruscant underground. The Jedi Council has uncovered a plot from the Separatists to kidnap the Chancellor. They need more information though, so to get inside, they have Obi-Wan stage his own death and go undercover. And they all go to lengths to ensure that the Republic believes that Obi-Wan is dead. Even Anakin is fooled. Obi-Wan takes on the identity of the supposed assassin sent to kill him, Rako Hardeen. Like, fully has his face morphed to look like his. Clothes like his, it's the whole 9 yards. Obi-Wan is going deep undercover. Inside the prison, Obi-Wan makes his presence known to Morala Eval, a key figure in the kidnapping plot. Moralo takes a liking to the disguised Obi-Wan and welcomes him aboard when it comes time for him to break out of the prison. Another member in this kidnapping plot is, wait for it, Cad Bane. Yeah, Cad Bane makes his return this episode with a bang as he masterminds Moralo and his escape out of jail. With these guys out of prison, the Chancellor is in danger, but they have no idea their biggest threat is right under their noses. Moving on, Crisis on Naboo sees the execution of the plot to kidnap the Chancellor. The anniversary of Naboo's union with the Republic, and Chancellor Palpatine is presiding over the festival. The hired guns are all briefed by Dooku and Cad Bane, ready to play their role in the biggest heist of all time. However, with Obi-Wan undercover, things don't go according to plan. He's given the role of sniper for the kidnapping, and so is able to provide Mace Windu the intel he needs to thwart Bane's posse. However, Cad Bane and Moralo are still able to make their escape to some nearby woods, where they are there to meet Count Dooku. It's at this point that Obi-Wan drops the act and confronts Bane and Moralo. Windu and Skywalker show up moments later and take the two bounty hunters into custody. Something doesn't sit right with Obi-Wan, however. Why didn't Dooku show up? He leads a small investigation where he finds a communicator in his sniper case. Dooku knew the whole time. Dooku makes a second attempt for the Chancellor himself and duels with Anakin. Something worth noting here is how Chancellor Palpatine seems to be enjoying seeing Anakin's anger and frustration fuel his fight with Dooku. Just something to keep in mind. Anyway, Obi-Wan arrives just in the nick of time to stop Dooku from leaving with the Chancellor. Palpatine is safe, and Obi-Wan can finally drop the bad guy act. For our next episode, Revenge, think back to the end of last season. Savage Opress left Dathomir in search of his long-lost brother, the legendary Darth Maul. Well, as the Clone Wars have been raging on, he found him. But Maul is a shell of his former self. A twisted mind and mangled body, Maul is more feral dog at this point than he is Zabrak. His brother, though, takes him in nonetheless. Back on Dathomir, Mother Talzin performs her dark magic similar to what she did with Savage. The clouds and confusion fade from Maul's mind, and his body is restored. Maul is back, and better with one thing on his mind: revenge. On Felucia, Maul and Savage make their presence known in the most cruel way possible, by killing innocents. Obi-Wan travels to put down this ghost of his past once and for all, but with Savage there as well, the fight proves near impossible for the Jedi Master. Asajj Ventress seeks her revenge against Savage for his betrayal last season, and so Obi-Wan and Ventress find themselves forming an unlikely alliance with one another, as they both attempt to defeat Maul and Savage. Yet even still, the Zabrak brothers' rage and thirst for vengeance makes them so powerful that even a Jedi Master and former Sith apprentice stand no chance. Asajj and Obi-Wan make a narrow escape for their lives off the ship, just barely. Maul's return to the fray adds fuel to the dark side of the Force, and adds yet another problem to the plate of the Republic. Alright, jumping forward quite a bit here to the episode Eminence in Season 5. Let's see how Maul's quest for vengeance pans out. Before that though, let's discuss another neutral faction in the galaxy, the Death Watch. The Death Watch is a splinter faction from the planet Mandalore, home of the Mandalorians. This society boasted a warrior spirit unlike any other. War and battle to them is an old tradition, something to honor, or rather it was. In recent years, the Duchess Satine has completely shifted the cultural focus from war and battle to pacifism and peace. The Death Watch, led by one Pre Vizsla, wholeheartedly disagrees with this, and so has been waging a number of campaigns against the Duchess to retake Mandalore. Campaigns that have almost always ended in failure thanks to the intervention of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it may come as a small blessing to the Death Watch that they discovered someone else who has a vendetta against Kenobi, Maul. Pre Vizsla employs the company of Maul and Savage as allies to retake Mandalore from Satine and to end Obi-Wan. But first, they're going to need an army. First, they travel to Mustafar and recruit the army of the criminal syndicate, the Black Sun. The Pike Syndicate join what is now known as the Shadow Collective, and the growing army leave for Nal Hutta. A display of power from the Shadow Collective leaves Jabba the Hutt no choice but to agree to Maul's terms and pledge his loyalty. With an army amassed, the Shadow Collective is ready to take Mandalore. However, Maul's ambition to run a galactic underworld while on the throne of Mandalore sparks tension within the faction. In this episode, Shades of Reason, the Shadow Collective launches their assault on Mandalore. Although instead of a full frontal march on the capital, Maul and Death Watch vie for a more political approach. With an army of criminals and crime lords, the Collective's plan is to capture key shipping ports and banks, making it look like the crime lords are waging war. Then Death Watch will step in to fight off the intruders, thereby making them lauded as heroes and making Duchess Satine look weak. Ideally, the people will welcome the rule of Vizsla, as he is the quote-unquote hero that saved Mandalore from the criminal underworld. The deception works flawlessly, as the Death Watch roam around arresting the various soldiers of the Shadow Collective. Pre Vizsla is idolized among the people of Mandalore, and the Duchess Satine is deposed from power. With Vizsla's vision realized, he reveals he has no intention of expanding a criminal empire as Maul, so he betrays him. Though Maul takes the betrayal with dignity, he immediately concocts a new plan to install a new leader instead of Vizsla, one that will act on his behalf. This job falls to the corrupt former Prime Minister Almec. Now, to depose Vizsla, Maul enacts an ancient tradition of the Mandalorians, trial by combat. Those in possession of the Darksaber are honor-bound to always defend their position as leader by combat, whether they are challenged. Maul takes advantage of this, and though Vizsla proves a worthy adversary, Maul is able to dispatch him. Taking over the Death Watch and thereby Mandalore. With Mandalore and Prime Minister Almec under Maul's thumb, it's only a matter of time before Obi-Wan arrives, just as he always does. For our next episode, The Lawless, I hate to say it, but Obi-Wan played right into Maul's hands. Because Mandalore is a neutral planet, Obi-Wan disobeys orders from the Council when he arrives on Mandalore. This means Obi-Wan is alone and vulnerable, just as Maul had hoped. Obi-Wan nearly made his escape, but unfortunately both he and the Duchess find themselves in chains. In a Mandalorian throne room, Maul basks in his victory before Obi-Wan. Maul taunts the Master Jedi before enacting his vengeance. No, he doesn't lunge at Obi-Wan. He instead impales the Duchess Satine with the Darksaber. A splinter faction of the Death Watch, led by Bo-Katan, frees Obi-Wan of his shackles and makes their great escape. Battle wages on in the airs of Mandalore as both factions of Death Watch fight one another for their opposing loyalties. Obi-Wan makes his escape from Mandalore with Bo-Katan's help, but while all this is happening, a new force arrives in the throne room. A dark, sinister force. Maul's former master, Darth Sidious. There's one major rule when it comes to the Sith. There can only be two. With Count Dooku at the side of Sidious, Maul and Savage endeavors are a fracturing of this rule. So Darth Sidious attacks the two Zabrak Sith. Though they are powerful, none can withstand the power of Darth Sidious. Savage Opress is impaled. But the Dark Lord has plans for Maul, and so he keeps him alive. Revenge slips through Maul's fingers yet again, and now he finds himself back in service to the Dark Lord. In our next episode, To Catch a Jedi, Ahsoka is on the run. There's been an attack at the Jedi Temple, and with it, a deep, dark conspiracy. Ahsoka's been framed for the murder of the perpetrator responsible for the attack, and now she finds herself traversing the dark underworld of Coruscant to discover the truth. For such a crime, there's a large bounty on her head that any hunter would love to claim. One such hunter? Asajj Ventress. Ahsoka is able to convince Ventress to help her investigation, promising that for her help, Ahsoka will speak to the Senate about granting the Separatist war criminal a pardon. Using a public hologram system, Ahsoka is able to contact her only friend inside the Jedi Temple, Barriss Offee, who directs her to a nearby warehouse where the bomb was constructed. After guiding Ahsoka to the warehouse, a strange hooded figure attacks Ventress and takes her lightsaber. This same hooded figure then ambushes Ahsoka in the warehouse. As the fight goes on, Ahsoka is defeated and knocked right into the hands of Commander Wolffe and his search party. Ahsoka is taken in by Anakin and Plo Koon to be tried by the Jedi, although Anakin is certain that there's something deeper to all of this, something the Jedi don't know. The episode The Wrong Jedi sees Ahsoka put on trial for the crime she didn't commit. Before facing trial from the Senate itself, Ahsoka must answer to the Jedi Council. Yet, it seems this trial is more of a sentencing than anything, as the Council's already made their decision. Effective immediately, Padawan Tano has her rank stripped, privileges revoked, and is hereby expelled from the Jedi Order. While Ahsoka is tried before the Galactic Senate, Anakin ventures back into the Coruscant underworld to question Ventress, Ahsoka's only other known contact. Of course, the history between these two has tensions running high, but Asajj reveals a vital piece of information, that Ventress was not Ahsoka's only point of contact. In fact, it was Barriss Offee that directed them to the warehouse in the first place. With a new lead, Anakin heads back to the Jedi Temple to speak with Padawan Offee. Anakin's suspicions are confirmed when Barriss reveals she has Ventress's lightsabers. She was the mysterious ambusher from the last episode. Anakin and Barriss engage in a duel that ends in the Padawan's arrest. Anakin races to the Senate chambers and interrupts the proceeding right before judgment is passed. Barriss admits to all, and Ahsoka's charges are dropped immediately. Despite this victory, it's not all sunshine and rainbows for the Jedi. Ahsoka feels betrayed and hurt by the fact that those she looked up to and trusted didn't share that same trust, and turned their backs on her when she needed them most. So when the Jedi offer Ahsoka her place in the Order once again, she turns her back on the Jedi. Season 6 kicks off with The Unknown. In this episode, Anakin and the 501st are waging war against another Separatist battleship with twin Jedi Masters Tiplar and Tipley of Doom's unit. Pretty standard stuff by Clone Wars standards. Jedis, droids, clones, everything. However, things make an unexpected turn when Clone Tup feels a little unwell. So unwell, he feels compelled to murder a Jedi. Yep, in this episode, Clone Tup executes a Jedi, Master Tiplar to be more specific.
Sister!
Tup clearly was not in his right mind. In response to his actions, all Tup has to say for himself is, "Good soldiers follow orders," over and over again.
Good soldiers follow orders. Good soldiers follow orders. Good soldiers follow orders.
As though he's in a trance, but who gave the order? Well, nobody did. And that's the mystery behind this whole ordeal. A medical scan of Tup shows no physical issues, so this has to be some sort of mental break. The only issue with that idea is that the clones are bred to be soldiers, and with that comes the mental resilience to endure the hardships of war. The only way to truly find out what happened with Tup is to take him back home. To Kamino. Episode 2 Conspiracy sees Clone Tup and Clone Fives inside of Kamino's medical bay. Master Shaak Ti and the chief Kaminoan medical officer, Nala Se, are at odds about how to proceed with Tup's mysterious condition. Remember, the Kaminoans view the clones as objects, while Master Ti wishes for them to be treated as people. For Shaak Ti, the best course of action would be a deep brain scan, one that would keep Tup alive. However, Nala Se disagrees, thinking that Tup should be put down so that they may perform an autopsy. Meanwhile, Fives is one room over and is greatly concerned for his best friend's condition. Fives refuses to let Nala Se dispose of Tup like he's nothing, and so he convinces the medical droid, AZI-3, to help him break in to find the answers himself. And so they do. Fives and AZI-3 sneak into the next room over, allowing the droid to discover some sort of tumor in Tup's brain. Now, this isn't just a tumor, this is a conspiracy that runs deep, but we'll get to that in just a minute. AZI-3 is able to remove the tumor that seems to warp Tup's inhibitions and present it to Fives. Nala Se returns to the room and seems to try and cover up Fives' discovery. Tup awakens following the surgery and speaks cryptically about the mission. Some sort of mission that haunts him in his dreams, haunts all clones in all of their dreams. Finally, Tup says that it's his time to be free and fades away on the table. As far as the tumor goes, Shaak Ti advises the sample be taken to the Jedi, but this request is blocked by Chancellor Palpatine. The mystery is still wide open though about what happened and what this tumor can do to the clones. In the next episode, Fugitive, Fives is scheduled for a memory wipe following his discoveries. However, Fives once again goes against direct orders and runs off with his new droid buddy, AZI-3. Together, they retrieve the tumor that was pulled from Tup to launch their own investigation about what this truly is. To begin, Fives and AZI make their way to the Genome Facility to compare the tumor to that of Jango Fett's original DNA. Here, they discovered that this tumor does not stem from Fett's DNA and isn't even completely organic. With these facts in mind, someone placed this device in Tup. But how many other clones were implanted with this halfway organic chip? The two avoid capture from the Kaminoans and Shaak Ti by escaping into a ceiling hatch. Fives finds himself concerned that this implant was placed in him as well, so he has AZI-3 perform the same surgery that he performed on Tup. Lo and behold, Fives as well had the same chip in his brain. With the second chip, AZI-3 is able to surmise that the one inside of Tup's brain malfunctioned, as is evidenced by the shriveled state of Tup's compared to Fives. Still not satisfied, Fives heads to the embryo room to find out if these chips are isolated cases or if they are implanted in more clones. As to his horror, it is discovered that every single clone is implanted with whatever this chip is. Nala Se enters and explains that these devices are inhibitor chips, designed to reduce the aggression of the clones to a safe level. Shaak Ti arrives with the intention of arresting Fives, but when she hears about his discoveries, she instead decides to send him to Coruscant to share his findings with Palpatine. For this next episode, Orders, Fives gets the opportunity to plead his case before the ever so honorable Chancellor Palpatine. Things very quickly turn sour, however, when Fives is accused of attacking the Chancellor during their talks. Now he's on the run through the Coruscant underworld, just as Ahsoka was last season. Now, I've been skirting around outwardly saying it for the sake of surprise, but if Chancellor Palpatine doesn't seem like quite the good guy, because he's actually the Dark Lord Sidious. And all this business with the inhibitor chips plays deep into the massive conspiracy called Order 66, to allow Darth Sidious to rise to ultimate power. More on how in just a little bit. Fives, unfortunately, finds himself coming too close to the truth of this plot, so Palpatine/Sidious employs his masterful use of manipulation to pit everyone against him. With such heavy charges levied against Fives, it's all hands on deck to locate him and bring him to quote-unquote justice. Both Rex and Anakin, comrades to Fives, meet with him in an old abandoned warehouse. Fives pleads his case, explaining that the inhibitor chips are not in place as safeguards for aggressive clones, but in fact are there to force clones to listen and kill anyone on command, including their Jedi generals.
Organic chips built into our genetic code to make us do whatever someone wants.
All of this sounds like absolute madness to Anakin and Rex, but before Fives can explain any further, Commander Fox and the Coruscant Guard arrive at their location. Fox orders Fives to stand down, but he reaches for a pistol, forcing Fox to fire. The shot pierces through Fives' heart, and he slumps into Rex's arms. As he fades away, he reiterates that the conspiracy is larger than anyone could have imagined, and with this dying breath, he pronounces he is free, and that the mission and the nightmares are finally over. The first episode of the final season, The Bad Batch, sees the Republic taking heavy losses from Separatist counter-strategies. Rex and Cody come to the conclusion that there has to be some sort of software in the droid's possession tailored to counter anything from Captain Rex. To discover the source of this algorithm and perhaps destroy it, they decide to infiltrate a Separatist cyber center. However, they will not be going alone. For this operation, Cody has employed the assistance of Clone Force 99, otherwise known as the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch is a small squadron of clones that suffered favorable mutations during their growth sequence on Kamino. Among the squadron is their leader, Sergeant Hunter, whose mutation gives him heightened senses, so heightened that he can feel electromagnetic frequencies from anywhere on a planet. Wrecker, the team's demolitions guy, has incredible strength and towers above the average clone. Tech is the team's brains. His mutations gave him hyper-intellect, meaning he's incredibly tech-savvy. And lastly, there's Crosshair, who possesses incredible eyesight and is an incredible sniper. Together, the Bad Batch make for an incredibly effective unit, with incredibly unconventional tactics. This must come as no surprise that they prove as a valuable asset in taking the Cyber Center from the droids. Tech is more than capable of hacking into the Separatist mainframe, but what they find is much different than what was expected. They're able to find the source of the algorithm that counters the Republic's tactics, but it's not a program. It's something that goes by the name of CT-1409. Wait. That's a clone identification number, but it's not just any clones. That's Echo. But what's he doing with the Separatists? Well, before Rex can ask any further questions, the squadron is run off from the Cyber Center, but they have a location, Skako Minor. In this next episode, A Distant Echo, Anakin, Rex, and the Bad Batch make their way to Skako Minor for a rescue operation. Here, Wat Tambor of the Techno Union is holding out in the city of Perkol, the same place where Echo Signal is leading them. They're able to infiltrate into the city and stave off waves of D1 series aerial battle droids. Eventually, Rex and Tech are able to locate the source of the signal they've been tracking to a single room. Upon entering, they are greeted by a massive room with a stasis chamber. Inside, they find Echo, or rather, a shell of Echo. The trade union seems to have done some intense experimentation on him. Tubes are outfitted that connect to the chamber, wires run from his head, and some of his limbs even have been replaced with prosthetics. The Techno Union has been keeping Echo barely alive so that they might probe his brain for any and all intel that he might provide, specifically strategies and tactics. Though he has no idea where he is or how he got there, Rex consoles his comrade, telling him that he is safe now. Tech and Rex then begin to free the thought-to-be fallen soldier, and now they must escape from Skako Minor. In our next episode, On the Wings of Kiradax, our heroes must make their escape from Perkol. And how do they do that? Well, as the title suggests, on the wings of Kiradax. Tech is able to recreate the distress frequency that the Skako Minor natives used to call the Kirdax while they are balancing precariously above the planet. Everyone takes the leap of faith and lands on the winged beasts, escaping from the clutches of the separatist droids. They arrive at the Polytech village, where their journey on Skako Minor first began. Unfortunately, though, Wat Tambor isn't just going to take Echo's loss rolling over. He sends a platoon of D1 series aerial battle droids, as well as Octopura tri-droids, to attack the village and recover his asset. The clones, as well as the Polytechs, band together to ward off the incoming enemies. Thanks to the special abilities of the Bad Batch, as well as Anakin's masterful use of the Force, the Republic comes out on top by toppling over the Techno Union's massive construct. With the village safe and Echo back on his feet, our heroes board their escape craft and leave Skako Minor with renewed hope for the battles ahead. For this next episode, Old Friends Not Forgotten, the Republic is going to have to cling to that hope I just mentioned because the Separatists are pushing hard in the Outer Rim. Led by General Grievous, the Jedi are spread incredibly thin as they try to defend the regions under Republic control. What they don't know is that these battles will prove to be their last, because over the course of these next few episodes, we will be watching the closing moments of the show and the end of the Clone Wars. So strap in, because this is where everything comes together. This finale actually takes us away from our Jedi heroes. Instead, we will be seeing the end of the war from the former Jedi Ahsoka Tano's perspective. Following her exit from the Jedi Order, Ahsoka found herself embroiled in the ongoing battles on Mandalore. The last time we were here, Kenobi managed his escape, but Maul ultimately remained in power. However, Bo-Katan and the Death Watch secretly continued waging the war from the shadows, eventually aligning themselves with Ahsoka Tano. Now things have come to a head. Bo-Katan and Ahsoka simply do not have the manpower to lay siege to Mandalore, and so seek the help of Anakin and Obi-Wan. Of course, neither Jedi have the authority to commit troops to a war on a neutral planet. However, Anakin is always there to support his Padawan Ahsoka. So when the 501st and 212th are recalled to Coruscant to stave off an attack, Anakin grants Ahsoka a detachment of the 501st, hereby known as the 332nd Company, to aid her on Mandalore. The 332nd, while under Ahsoka's leadership, is technically commanded by Captain Rex. Ahsoka and the 332nd lead the siege of Mandalore with Bo-Katan, and the attack goes exceptionally well. Bo-Katan is able to defeat the Prime Minister Almec in the throne room. However, Ahsoka's true goal here is to find and take down Maul, the true power, and the one pulling the strings on Mandalore. She tracks him into the sewers in the lower city, but it's a trap. Her small detachment is slaughtered by Maul's troops, and she's left cornered by the former Sith, thus ending part 1 of the end. In this episode, The Phantom Apprentice, the siege of Mandalore reaches its conclusion. Something worth noting here is that in this episode, the Clone Wars and Star Wars Episode 3, The Revenge of the Sith, coincide. Now off-screen, Anakin and Obi-Wan successfully save Chancellor Palpatine, who was kidnapped by Count Dooku. During this mission, they learned of the mysterious figure known as Darth Sidious. However, they were not able to obtain any further information because Anakin killed Count Dooku before they could probe any further. We, of course, know who Sidious is at this point. However, the Jedi Council has remained blind to the truth this whole time. However, they do learn that whoever Sidious is, he has been playing both sides of the war. Suspicions of Chancellor Palpatine have begun to rise in the Council, and so they've sent Anakin to spy on him, something that Anakin vehemently dislikes considering his close personal relationship with Palpatine. All of this information is relayed to Ahsoka in a call with Obi-Wan. With Dooku dead, the only other individual who knows of Sidious and his plots is Maul, so it is imperative for Ahsoka's mission on Mandalore to succeed. Ahsoka's search for Maul and answers run quite short, as Maul has simply given himself up before the former Jedi. Commander Rex and Bo-Katan are forced to leave Ahsoka to handle the ongoing battle outside. It is at this point that Maul reveals all that he knows. The specifics of Palpatine's plot are still somewhat in the air at this point. Maul has come to the tragic understanding that his place in the whole of Sidious's plan was to simply die way back in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. But why? For Anakin Skywalker. Anakin is the key.
He is the key to everything.
The main force behind Sidious's plan. Throughout the entirety of the Clone Wars, Anakin was unknowingly being groomed by Sidious to embrace his dark side characteristics, all so that when the time comes, he may become Sidious's new apprentice, the one that will launch Palpatine to completely rule over the galaxy. With Dooku dead, by Anakin's hand no less, there is room for him. His time has come. Maul knows this too. He's fully aware that Sidious cannot be stopped, not by the Jedi, so he wagers Ahsoka a deal to join him so that they might be the ones to stop the Sith Lord. Ahsoka, however, does not believe him. She still believes in Anakin and ultimately rejects Maul. The two former apprentices then engage in a fiery duel that leads to the support beams of the city's dome. Here, Ahsoka gains the upper hand, launching Maul from the support beams and holding him in the air with the Force. Commander Rex arrives and places Maul in their custody, thereby ending part 2 of the end. For this next episode, Shattered, Ahsoka has Maul captured and the siege of Mandalore is over. Currently, she and the 332nd are on the way back to Coruscant to deliver the former Sith apprentice. Now, I would like for you to think back to the ARC Trooper 5s and the massive conspiracy with the inhibitor chips. At that point, no one in the Clone Army nor the Jedi Order were able to figure out what Fives was talking about. In this episode, the conspiracy comes to its fruition. Commander Rex is taken to the briefing room where he is called by none other than Darth Sidious. Sidious utters the line that explodes into one of the most tragic events in all of Star Wars.
Execute Order 66.
Order 66 was a secret clone protocol embedded within the inhibitor chips of every clone in the army. This order branded all Jedi as traitors to the Republic, and therefore subject to execution at the hands of their clones. Across the galaxy, clones from every battalion turn on their generals, eliminating the Jedi Order as a whole, save for a few survivors here and there. Commander Rex finds himself at the mercy of the clone protocol, and turns his back on Ahsoka. However, just before he's compelled to fire at her, he tells her to look for Fives. Ahsoka escapes, and the clones begin their search for their former friend. Maul, as well, finds himself a target for Order 66, but Ahsoka arrives just in time to free him. She does this so that Maul can create a diversion while she figures out what Rex meant about Fives. With the help of her astromech droid, Ahsoka finds the details of the inhibitor chips by sifting through Fives' archives. She then traps and incapacitates Rex and takes him to the medical bay. In the med bay, Ahsoka is able to locate Rex's inhibitor chip and remove it. She asks how widespread this betrayal is, and Rex tells her that it's across the entirety of the Grand Army, ending Part 3 of the end. Our finale, Victory and Death, caps off Clone Wars, but not with a bang, but instead a sort of mournful silence. Maul, who's still loose on the ship, destroys the entire engine room. Firstly, this pulls the ship out of hyperspace, and secondly, leaves it vulnerable to the gravitational pull of a nearby moon. Rex takes Ahsoka to the hangar bay, pretending to have captured her. He tries his best to reason with his brothers in arms, but now the ARC Commander Jesse believes them both to be traitors to the Republic.
Commander Rex, you're in violation of Order 66. I accuse you of treason against the Grand Army of the Republic.
He orders his men to fire on Rex and Ahsoka. The two do everything they can to incapacitate their former comrades and board a nearby shuttle, but Maul has other plans. He commandeers the ship before Ahsoka and Rex can board, leaving the two stranded and surrounded, with the starship on a collision course for the moon, and all escape shuttles destroyed. It's do or die for everybody on board. The 332nd are the best that the 501st had to offer, and are willing to die for the Republic, so they give intense chase to those that think to be traitors. Ahsoka and Rex manage to find a working Y-Wing bomber, but before Ahsoka can board the hangar bay, falls to pieces. Ahsoka shows her resolve as she free falls from the destroyed starship. She jumps from piece to piece and manages to cling onto the Y-Wing just in time to escape the collision with the moon. Our heroes may have escaped, but they were in fact the only ones to survive. Ahsoka cared for the clones greatly, so the loss of the entire 332nd weighs both on her and Rex heavily. At the crash site, they honor each and every one of their fallen brothers. The scene then shifts to some years later. Now the galaxy has fallen under the control of Darth Sidious and the Empire rules. Imperial stormtroopers and snowtroopers search the moon. Anakin emerges from the snow, but he's no longer the Jedi we once knew. Overtaken by the dark side, he's now known as Darth Vader. He searches the snow and finds the lightsaber he knows to belong to his former Padawan, and without a word, he takes it. As his reflection exits from a 332nd helmet, we can safely say that the Clone Wars are over. But don't worry, I've heard rumors of a rising rebellion against Darth Sidious and the Empire. There might just be new hope yet, but that's a story for another time. And with that rather somber ending, our coverage of the Clone Wars comes to a close. The Star Wars galaxy still remains wide open though, and there are plenty of other stories to be told. Let us know if there's any that you'd like for me to talk about. I hope you enjoyed this recap and have a great day. See ya!